Hey everybody, it's Jonny Bowden. I want to continue today the series I started yesterday on the fundamentals of weight loss. Now remember, if you didn't see that video, please go back and watch it. It's basically meant for everybody who's confused about weight loss, doesn't know where to turn. There's 8 million diets out there. They don't know whether they should be counting calories or grams of protein or grams of fat, whether it should be low fat or high fat, whether it needs to be in ketosis. And I want to help bring some serenity to your life if you're confused by all of this. I want to help give you some love, some direction, and some clarity on where to start with this stuff. And I'm going to tell you from my 30 years of experience coaching people in weight loss, these are the things that really matter. These are the things you need to pay attention to. So in the first video, I talked about the 3 homework assignments, the 3 things you need to do to start with. Go back and listen to it. I go into more detail, but basically those 3 things were: eat real food. And I know there's going to be some questions about what that is, and I'll answer those in more detail as we go on. But eat real food that your great-great-grandmother would have recognized as food. That was number 1. Number 2 was eat sitting down, no snacking. Actually find a time to eat. It can be as often as you want. But you got to do it sitting down and concentrating on the food. You can't do it while you're doing something else. There's no eating while you're in a meeting. There's no eating while you're in the car. You can have a soft conversation if you want. No TV, no radio, just eat. As often as you want, but just eat. And while you're doing that, be aware of how much of your hunger is really hunger and how much of it is anxiety. So that was step 2. Step 3 in that initial video was take a walk every single day. Very important piece of the homework. And at the end of the video, I kind of threw something out there. I said there's kind of a 4th step to relax, but I didn't explain why. And that's what part 2 of these fundamentals are. I'm going to explain why relaxing has a lot to do with whether or not you lose weight. Now you might think, what in the world could my mood or could my state of mind or could my ability to relax possibly have to do with putting on weight, especially belly fat, right? Which is what everybody wants to lose. Well, I thought the same thing when I started my career 30 years ago as a trainer at Equinox. And I trained a lot of people who had this same issue, particularly women. Now, I'm going to talk about belly fat for a second, and men kind of have it anyway, and it's harder to see, but I trained a lot of executive women who took their fitness very seriously. And they were pretty lean, didn't have much body fat, but they all complained of this little pooch. They had a little pooch. They were fit as could be, man. They were really fit. They could do all the treadmill stuff, and they lifted weights, but they couldn't get rid of this little pooch. And I, like all the other trainers who knew nothing about nutrition, we just, knew about how to train people, but we didn't know a lot about nutrition, and we didn't know why that was happening either. Then we found out, and I'm going to tell you how I found out, and then you're going to know. So around that time, a brilliant MD named Pamela Peeke from Yale University writes this book. I still have it in my library. It was one of my basics. It was one of the first books that I read when I was first starting out. And what Pamela Peeke explained was that the belly fat, the little pooch that these women had, was stress fat. It came from stress. It actually came from a hormone called cortisol. And one of the functions of cortisol is to tell your body to store fat for an emergency. And because of the mechanism of the way it does that, the place that it stores it is the belly. And that's what that little pooch is. And that's why it's so important to combat elevated levels of stress hormones. How do you do that? You relax. So relaxing isn't just taking a break. It is actually something you can do to help prevent cortisol from depositing fat around your belly. And that's why it's so important. I put it as the 4th step, but it's the next thing to do after you've got the real food thing down, and after you've got the walk down every day, and after you've got the eating in place thing down. Now the next thing is to really incorporate some way to manage your stress. And relaxing can look like a lot of different things. It can be just laying around. It can be reading a Danielle Steele novel. It can be watching TikTok. It can be watching TikTok, it can be doing YouTube videos, whatever it is that causes you to relax. And you got to be very careful about monitoring this. You can't be watching something that's going to get your heart rate up and get you all excited, or something that's political that's going to get you all charged up. The idea here is to really slow your heart rate, which changes your brain waves, which changes the hormones that are released, and which work against the stress hormone cortisol and more towards the hormones that cause you to relax. It's the parasympathetic nervous system that you want to engage. That's the rest and relax part of your nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is the one that gets you all hyper, the one that gets, the people going and achieving goals and doing all that good stuff. That's the sympathetic nervous system. You need to balance it with some parasympathetic activity, and you do that by relaxing. So if you want to avoid some of that stress fat that Pamela Peeke schooled us about back in the 90s, one of the best ways you can do that is by managing your stress, and one of the best ways you can do that is by taking relaxation seriously. This is Jonny Bowden, and I'll continue this series and answer more questions. I know a lot of things have come in so far just from the first video, like, are greens a real food? That's a great question. It's what I'm going to answer in the next one. So keep your questions going, and we'll go through these basics, because this foundation will let you do any kind of diet you want. You can pick whatever works best for you. But if you get these foundational principles down, it will make weight management so much easier for you for the rest of your life. This is Jonny Bowden. Don't forget to hit the like button. It makes me feel so good. Subscribe to the channel. Keep your questions coming, and I'll see you on the next video.